What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of Two Skinny Dudes and Mike Baby Jerseys.
Yeah. Wait a minute, Jarrett. I didn't tell you to wear your Bibby jersey. What the heck's going on here?
we're just we're just two peas in a pod, my friend. You and
How
I.
did this happen? Your jersey looks incredible. Also, by the way, I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that I point that
See,
out.
I should have gone with the white undershirt.
No,
I think
honestly,
the
I
white
think it
looks
looks
clean
good.
at least.
No, but it looks good because it's a good division between
Yeah,
like the
that's
white and
fair.
then.
Yeah,
So it looks good. It's a nice contrast. I like
that
yours
it
though.
is. How you doing, Jay?
I'm doing great. How are you today, buddy?
Hey, it was still kind of a silent week around the league. So I mean, at this point, we're just trying to find things to kind of, put out in terms of discussions that doesn't have to do with either Mac Jones or the third overall pick. And
Please, no more third overall pick
yeah,
talk, please.
yeah, I know, and I feel the exact same way. And there was, a rather big story last week since we've had a show. Talk about, what, Drew? I don't hate that idea. I don't. You know, at some point, maybe. I don't know. Jay, are you a wrestling guy?
I Andrew always tries to tell me. I think he said our next episode is about the 8 hours of WrestleMania because apparently is WrestleMania now two parts.
Yeah. So it'll be tonight is night one, tomorrow is night two, and then along with that, NXT had their takeovers, which is basically NXT's WrestleMania
Hmm.
during WrestleMania week.
Hmm.
So they had night one and night two of that already, which was really good. And then All Elite Wrestling had a house show last night, so there's been a lot of wrestling going on around this week. It's been crazy, but yeah, you should definitely. I would recommend All Elite Wrestling to you just because it is the better product right now. WWE's become very cheesy,
Hmm.
and it's PG rated, so like you can't really buy into anything that they say on the mic because it's you wouldn't say anything that they do. But
Hmm.
yeah, I would recommend All Elite Wrestling for you, and
Hmm.
then pay attention to Maxwell Jacob Freeman and Darby Allen. Those are the two guys that are just killing the game right now in there.
I'm
So
glad. I'm glad that I got recommendations from you and Andrew. You guys are peer pressuring me into watching wrestling.
it's so fun. It is. It's very very fun.
Well, do you want to talk some football, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Now we've just killed 3 minutes talking about wrestling. So we haven't talked or we haven't had the show, I should say, since the Sam Darnold trade broke. So we can dive into a little bit of that because obviously I've been campaigning for Kevin Colbert to make the move for Sam Darnold, which ultimately did not happen.
Hmm.
Carolina trades a 4 and a 6 this year, and then a 2 next year, which I believe is conditional. I think Sam Darnold has to play 75% of snaps for them to get that 2 next year.
Hmm.
So you can pretty much sharpie in the fact that it's going to be Zach Wilson at 2 to the Jets. How'd you feel about this?
I think that was the indication more than anything for me. You don't make a move for Sam Darnold if you don't understand which quarterback you're taking, and I think we all kind of sharpied in Zach Wilson. But let's just say there's a world that it's not. Again, hate to bring you back to the 49ers. You have to like this because now you really kind of know where they're going. So, you know, uh, it's interesting. They picked up his fifth-year option immediately. That was part of the deal as well, too. So they're going to get 2 years of cheap quarterback play, relative cheap quarterback play, right? Even with that $23 million or $26 million hit next year, that's still not, for quarterbacks, that's still not that big of a hit. So when you look at this offense, you look at the pieces that are there, you look at, Brady and Rule and that offense that they want to run, they've got the weapons. We all know DJ Moore is great. We know Christian McCaffrey is great. Robbie Anderson and Darnold link again. They had somewhat of a connection while they were there with the Jets. And, I think this more speaks to the fact that Carolina's been in on everybody pretty much at this
Mm-hmm.
point. And I think, they kind of sat there knowing, hey, we're not getting any of these guys. So what's the next best thing? They tried. Apparently, the rumors came out that they were asking for four with Atlanta, and Atlanta was like, "Nah, we're in the same division. We're not going to let you get the
Mm-hmm.
four. We're not going to have that person torment us." So I think it really just speaks to the fact that Carolina's been looking for a quarterback. Matt Rule didn't exactly hide his affinity for looking for a quarterback at the Senior Bowl. I mean, that's all he
Yeah.
pretty much talked about the entire time. So this is a good move, man. This is really interesting. I'll tell you this: if Sam Darnold, turns into the Sam Darnold that people think he is, then I think Joe Brady gets a head coaching job next year.
And that's the big thing about all this is because, you know, You know that I love Sam Darnold. You know that I think he has a lot of potential. What's up, Al? Thank you for tuning in. What up, my guy? Appreciate you.
Uh-huh.
So the thing with Sam Darnold and this move, I think it's great for both teams because if you're the Jets, you get a fresh start at quarterback. You know, it just things weren't working out. A whole new regime coming in. You might as well start the entire thing over with a guy that you want. So you look at the situation for Sam Darnold going to an offense with Joe Brady. I think that's going to be great for him. They still do need a little bit of help at left tackle, which they'll address throughout the draft. But the rest of their line it's not great, but it's not terrible either. Christian McCaffrey coming back. You mentioned DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. They'll have to add a tight end, but last year they really paid attention to the defensive side of the ball in the draft, going defense with all of their picks. So the defense is up and coming. Brian Burns is a very good edge rusher. Jeremy Chin looked really good. So I like what they're doing in Carolina. I think if they get one more receiver, obviously Curtis Samuel's gone now, so they're probably going to look to add one in the mid rounds.
Yeah.
But if Joe Brady can work a little bit of magic and tap into that Sam Darnold potential that is there, keep him upright, help him make good decisions, yeah, this could be a very, very good thing for Carolina going forward. And then you look at the Jets, all right, they're going to more than likely take Zach Wilson. They already brought in Corey Davis. Jameson Crowder's a very good slot receiver. Denzel Mims was injured a little bit last year, but showed a little bit of flashes. So they're going in the right direction. Defensively, they got a few new pieces as well. I think this is great for both teams involved. And then I think it does say a lot about what Carolina wanted to do, though, because like you said, they would have loved to trade up into the top 5 and take one of these quarterbacks. But the fact that Atlanta was there at 4 and San Francisco had already traded up to 3, they were kind of put, I'm going to make another wrestling reference, they were kind of in the walls of Jericho there. They were about to submit.
I got that one. That one I know.
There you go. So, yeah, Atlanta really had them, like, they're not going to let Carolina trade up unless they would have traded the farm, which obviously you're not going to do with a division rival in the first place. So they really couldn't do anything. And they made the move that they needed to do going forward with a quarterback that's still only 23 years old. I believe he's younger than Joe Burrow is, actually.
He is younger than Joe Burrow.
That's the thing I keep hearing. So you look at what Sam Darnold did in 2019, 7-6 as a starter. If he doesn't get mono in the first month of the season, the Jets very well could have made a run at a wild card spot. Not saying that they would have got it, but they played good football when he was under center that year. And then last year, obviously, they trade everybody away that's worth a damn on the roster, not named Quinnen Williams or Mekhi Becton. So it was, a sorry excuse for an NFL team that they were surrounding him with. And, I feel like a lot of people like to put the blame on Sam Darnold. But the other thing is you look at his stats compared to a quarterback that everybody loves, Cam Newton. In 3 less games, he had more touchdown passes, did have one more interception, but Sam Darnold, everybody wants to talk about how great Cam Newton is, but statistically, more passing yards per game than Cam Newton, more touchdowns than Cam Newton. I just feel like we have this narrative about Sam Darnold, who's still only 23 years old, had to deal with Adam Gase for a few years. He's been so unstable in terms of where he was at. I think going to a place with Matt Rule, with Joe Brady, of solid core weapons that they'll add on to. I think this could be Sam Darnold's redemption tour, and I'm very excited to see. I'm rooting very hard for Sam Darnold this year.
It's funny because when we're looking at the same thing, because everybody's trying to tap this potential with Darnold, this is the idea, right? And when you start to think about, okay, who can do that, right? Obviously, we'll get into, there was rumored that San Francisco was involved. We found out that was absolutely true, even though so many of your media people were saying they're not interested in Darnold. They don't. Washington football team was in on them. But my thing is this. I never really saw Carolina as a fit until the trade happened. And after it happened, I'm like, wow, that makes a ton of sense. Exactly what they run. Spread offense. You want him to be able to get outside of the pocket, make plays with his legs, as far as, not running the ball, not mobile, but getting out of the pocket, continuing plays. You got guys that, can get open. DJ Moore, like I said, Robbie Anderson. And I never really thought about them when I was talking about in terms of, because, you floated the Pittsburgh idea out there. I thought that was great. That was genius. Now, unfortunately, Pittsburgh's going to have to trade up for Kyle Trask. Sorry, Jarrett Bailey.
No. Let's not speak that into it. Come on.
No, I'm just kidding. But, honestly, I really didn't think of Carolina immediately off the top of my head as that. But now that you really think about it, it logically makes sense. So, for them to hitch their wagon to him for 2 years, see what happens. I think Matt Rule's got enough rope, and like I said, if Brady gets what they can out of him, then he's in line for a job, honestly. So this is a good move all around. Fresh start for Sam Darnold. Hope he really does well. I kind of want to touch on the Washington football team being interested. So. Sure. They signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? And they're a playoff team, so they're not exactly in any position to move up unless they do something drastic, right? So again, looking for a quarterback, right? And they kick the tires on Darnold as well, too. I just wonder if Washington football team becomes a place where Jimmy Garoppolo could wind up landing in day 2 of the draft.
Now, that's interesting. Now, when I thought it was maybe, 3 weeks ago or so, going through all the teams that would have made logical sense for Darnold to end up with, I could only really list 3, and that was Pittsburgh, Washington, and Carolina. Carolina was the last place I thought he'd end up. I thought that Washington made a lot of sense because he would have kind of played that Tua role. Ryan Fitzpatrick's there now. If it starts going from Fitzmagic to Fitztragic that you can put Darnold in, I thought that made sense. Sam Darnold to Pittsburgh made sense for obvious reasons. Have him sit behind Ben for a year, take the reins in 2022. And then Carolina, I just didn't, as much as I like Sam Darnold, is he really that much of? Sorry, Mac. Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree with you. The more that you kind of look at it, with the matching with Joe Brady, it does make sense in Carolina. Now, so Jimmy Garoppolo, that could be interesting because let's say that they do make the move. Is it just going to be an open competition in camp between he and Ryan Fitzpatrick at that point? I think there's an argument to be had there. I think you get a lot more explosiveness from Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't really think that's debatable.
No.
So
that's interesting. A competition between Fitz and Jimmy. I would have my eyes glued to that to see what would happen, honestly, man.
I would very much enjoy seeing that throughout training camp and preseason. Ryan Fitzpatrick against Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm not so sure that Ryan Fitzpatrick wouldn't win because, look, man, he does have the tendency, obviously, to, make
throw terrible interceptions. Yeah.
But the one thing that you can say about him that you can't say about Jimmy is that he has just that big playability, and you don't know when it's going to strike. But when it does, it comes in handy. I mean, we've seen it with almost every team that he's been with. We saw it, obviously, in Tampa. Saw it in Miami. He's still got a little bit of gas in the tank, obviously.
When he gets hot, when he's hot and he's rolling, man, you're talking about like 400, 4 touchdowns type, like that's a lot, man. I mean, it's you're right. It's the explosive play thing. You're right. But the thing is that Fitzpatrick has these swings where he's amazing. He's orchestrating the offense, and you're just like, look at this guy. And it's a circle, right? He comes in, he's the backup, he takes the job, he gets signed, he becomes the backup, he gets cut, he goes, and he does the same thing over and over. It's like it's as consistent as gravity. But you're right about that, about how when Fitz is on, he's like all the way up. But when he's not, he's down. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have those heights in games, like, those 404 touchdown games, and I think what you're really talking about is attacking downfield. Like, Fitz will still throw that thing down the field. It doesn't matter. Like, Devontae Parker's out there somewhere. He just throw it up, but it was working. He played really well last year. That's why when he was benched for Tua, he didn't really take it well. And I mean, not that he didn't take it well from the standpoint of like, well, I'm not helping him or anything like that. It was just he was playing some of the best football of his career, and he felt disappointed. Miami was winning games. I sort of got it, but I didn't get it, at least from Brian Flores' point. What they won 10 games and didn't make the playoffs or something like that, or they won 9 games, something like that, didn't make the playoffs this year?
I want to say that they won 9.
They won 9, okay. If you probably start Fitz for one of those other games, like the Raiders game, remember he came in and, the face mask, that's the type of stuff that Fitz offers you, So as far as the competition goes, that would be really interesting. So, I mean, here's the thing. If you're Washington, you bring in Jimmy Garoppolo to compete with Ryan Fitzpatrick, knowing that you have to pay him $26 million. That's an expensive backup if he loses.
Yeah. That is the biggest thing about it, though. And now I'd have to check in on what Washington's cap situation is. But I think that they've got a decent amount.
They should be good.
Right now. Yeah. I mean, they're not really paying a quarterback right now. They don't have any big contracts right now. So they should be set in terms of their money. So I think it's something that could happen. I just think that, I do think that Jimmy does get traded at some point, whether that be during the draft or in the preseason or before the trade deadline. I don't think he makes it through the season on the 49ers roster. So whether it be a Sam Bradford in Minnesota type situation after Teddy Bridgewater went down, knock on wood, obviously we don't want that.
Of course.
But if a quarterback does go down for a team that has playoff expectations and they're not confident in their backup to get it done, then yeah, there's going to be calls made to John Lynch. And, I do think that happens at some point this year. We didn't even mention this quarterback, talking about Carolina, Teddy Bridgewater as well. I mean, they're going to allow him to seek a trade and go somewhere else. Where, what's his market right now? Is it going to be similar to what it was before New Orleans, where he's a very high-end backup? Or is he going to, go somewhere to be a mentor? Maybe he goes to a place like maybe a Jacksonville or something like that. Or does he go somewhere where he can compete to be a starter again? Because I think Teddy, he's starting caliber. He's not a high-end starter, but I think he's somewhere between, the 20 and 25th best quarterback in the league. I feel like he's a starter in this league.
That's fair.
So I think, maybe if you're Washington, you call about Teddy Bridgewater. There's a lot that.
Here's a good question.
Okay. Is Teddy better than? Oh. You know what? Gun to my head, needing a win. If I have to choose between the two, I'm not so sure I wouldn't pick Teddy Bridgewater over Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay. I'm not saying that's not me saying that he's definitively better, but the fact that I have to think about it, I think that kind of says a lot right now.
Respectfully, Jarrett, Jimmy's better than
that's
Teddy.
Fine. Yeah. I'm not going to argue with anybody that says that Jimmy's better. No, that's definitely something that I would have to run in my mind.
Right. I mean, I think more than anything, again, the knock with Jimmy is more, just the injury stuff. When he's on the field, he wins. And when he's running the offense, regardless of the defense around them, they win games. So, I'm not even talking about that's the reason that I put him over, but just last year when I was watching Teddy, I was watching the film. He was efficient as hell, right? The numbers, like when you look at them, you're like, oh look, when you watch the film, there's so many guys running free down the field. Now, can the same thing be said about Jimmy Garoppolo? For sure. But Teddy Bridgewater last year, while people were like, oh, he was solid, I'm like, yeah, but there's some other things that kind of scared me. So, again, like you said, 20 to 25, that's probably fair, But I think what's interesting is does Carolina get anything for Teddy Bridgewater, or do they just immediately cut them? Because I've gone on record on Twitter and saying this, and I'm probably going to get killed in the comments here. Let's say there's a world that Jimmy Garoppolo is not on this team and, Justin Fields is the pick at 3. I am not upset with a Justin Fields, Teddy Bridgewater quarterback room. Not upset at all.
I wouldn't be either. No, that makes sense. I feel like they're very more similar in terms of their style of play than Jimmy and Justin Fields would be. So no, that makes sense.
Let's see. A guy called Ed wants to know, I wonder if the Saints try to make a push for Teddy B. They've got like 12 quarterbacks. They just don't know which one they actually want to start.
17 quarterbacks on the roster already. And so does Carolina. Carolina's got 5 on their roster right now. I mean, they still got
PJ Walker
now. PJ Walker, Will Grier, Tommy Stevens, and Teddy Bridgewater all on the roster right now.
Will Grier,
the most sexy man in the NFL, and I am on record saying it. Have you seen that majestic? Oh my goodness, the beard is beautiful, the hair is great. In terms of quarterbacks, he might be the best. He might be the best looking quarterback in the league. Chase Claypool might be the best looking overall player in the league. If we're putting it together an all handsome team, Will Grier might be my quarterback.
Good God. Listen, here's a question for you. So we're talking about quarterbacks and where they can land. Teddy's a name. Minshew's a name. Oh. Where exactly do these guys end up? Where do you see them falling? Because these are high-end backups. Teddy is a high-end backup. So is Minshew. High-end backups. I'm talking about, like, if we're doing 32 quarterbacks, let's just say that they're out of that because they're not starting. They're 33, 34, 35 type caliber, like right there, ready to take someone's spot. So, I mean, I think it gets a little bit interesting. I think draft day, we're going to start to see a little bit of movement with all this stuff. Now, whether, they get something for Teddy, get something for Minshew, I don't know. But those are high-end backups that are out there. And, not to bring it back to the 49ers, John Lynch wants to upgrade the backup position just because the quarterback can't stay healthy. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Minshew's interesting. I think that, like I said, he kind of scares me sometimes with the football in his hands. But sometimes I you look at his numbers and you're like, look at that. That's actually not bad, especially considering being on the Jaguars, right? And not just any Jaguars team. You know, who is their coach, Doug Marrone?
Yes.
The Doug Marrone led Jaguars. You know, so
Okay.
but that's an interesting one. Go ahead.
Okay, you said that you might get killed for saying something, so I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring. I would take Gardner Minshew over Teddy Bridgewater. Gardner Minshew, man, he's so slept on because you look at what he did, especially at the beginning of last year. He played really well against the Colts. He fueled and almost completed a comeback against Tennessee in week 2. Now, he is an up and down guy. I'm not trying to make the case that Gardner Minshew is great.
Of course.
But you look how he played against Baltimore. You know, he had some solid numbers. Now, obviously, they got killed in that game. You can't put the blame on Gardner Minshew for that. The defense was absolutely abysmal. They allowed 40. But you look at his numbers. He played well. So Gardner is a guy where he has a lot of room for improvement. But when he's similar to Ryan Fitzpatrick. When he's on, it's a fun show to watch, and he's such a character. We all know this. I like Gardner Minshew a lot. I think I'd say that Gardner Minshew is around that same class as Teddy Bridgewater, somewhere between closer to 23, 25 in terms of quarterbacks in the league. But I think that you give Gardner Minshew a solid offense to work with. He could be just as effective as a guy like Jimmy in an offense, and along with the ability to make those plays downfield. I love Gardner Minshew, and I would love to see him as a bridge guy, you know, anywhere where he can still play for a little bit and then kind of usher in the next guy who's up. I don't know where he would go, though. I mean, that is a good question. I would love him in Pittsburgh.
I was about to say.
I would love him in Pittsburgh.
I was kind of leading you there.
He has a lot of Ben in him, especially young Ben, just running around trying to extend the play. He doesn't have as big an arm as Ben, but, well, maybe now he does because obviously Ben's 77 years old, but...
I thought that was his cap hit.
Aha! It would have been. But no, I would love Gardner Minshew in Pittsburgh. And actually, during the season, I actually bookmarked it because if it happens, then I'm going to pull up receipts. But I said, hear me out, Gardner Minshew to Pittsburgh in 2021. And I would be totally okay with that. Especially if Ben were to go down, I would be so much more confident with Gardner Minshew under center than Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins, whoever, you know, obviously they brought in Haskins earlier this offseason. So I would be much more confident in that. Obviously, I would like to see, you know, a guy drafted, but it would cost a lot to get up into the top 5, and I just don't see that happening, and I don't want Kyle Trask. So, so it looks as if, and not to go off on a tangent here, but, you know, if Pittsburgh does want to get a guy, oh man, I gotta let you in on this. You've seen me talk about it on Twitter, but I'm gonna bring it up now. So this is where I get on my high horse about the Steelers quarterback future, everybody. So stick with me. All right, so Aaron Rodgers was on McAfee, and he said, look, I think I threw a wrench into some people's plans. He's just leaving a little breadcrumb trail of, yeah, the Packers wanted me to suck a little bit so they could force Jordan Love in and move on from me. And guess what? I won the MVP, and I kind of slowed down their plans a little bit. What say, Jason Aponte, that we don't see the frustrations with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay grow over into 2022, and finally, you know, just becomes a thing similar to a Brett Favre situation almost, where, you know, they want the next guy to come in. Aaron still clearly has the ability to play at a high level. And he says, you know what, to hell with this, trade me to a team that can win now. Enter the Pittsburgh Steelers, who still have a phenomenal defense, a great core of skill position guys, and will have a lot more money in 2022 because Ben Roethlisberger will be gone. This is where, if you're Pittsburgh, you don't rebuild, you reload. And you bring in Aaron Rodgers and make Jarrett Bailey the happiest human being on the face of this planet. What do you think?
So, I mean, I love the idea. I love the thought process. There's certainly a large portion of 49er fans that were hoping for something like this. And if let's just say Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were, you know, not moving up to 3 because they thought that they could get Aaron Rodgers later, I would be really, really upset about that, you know, because again, best laid plans of mice and men. You tried this before, you know, that's why, you know, they went right for it. But that does make a ton of sense, right? Because you do get to reload and you do get to put him in a place where, you know, the Steelers are a winning organization with culture and they're always going to be, you know, in the playoffs and everything. And now you're talking about, you know, you guys with that defense made the playoffs with Ben Roethlisberger, and you're talking about adding Aaron Rodgers. You know, I do see a scenario where he wants to go. And, you know, you have to believe that the Jordan Love pick was, if that wasn't the first middle finger, the second middle finger was drafting AJ Dillon in the second.
Yep.
You know, like it's just straight up like, you know, Like it was just like they had no idea what to do with those picks, you know. And Jordan Love, by all accounts, has not even been good in practice, let alone, you know, looking like the future in any sort of game, you know, in any sort of game way. So, I mean, I like this idea, honestly, for you. And I mean, you would be through the roof if you got Aaron Rodgers, just like many franchises. Yeah.
I would forgive every mistake that this franchise has made this offseason if it turns out that this is just a long-term plan to somehow make a move for a guy like Aaron Rodgers. I forgive everything. I forgive bringing back Juju. I forgive the whole Steven Nelson debacle. I forgive losing Bud Dupree. I would forgive it all if we get Captain America under center for a few years. And Pittsburgh, man, I would be ecstatic. I would be the most unbearable person on Twitter. I would not shut up. And man.
Hey, look, I'm rooting for it just for you, man.
Yeah. It's just something where, you know, this franchise, I'm trying to find the words to explain it. All right, so stereotypical Yinzers will always point to the fact that the Steelers have 6 Super Bowls, which is why I say that, like, basic Steelers fans are the most annoying in sports. I can't stand the average Steeler fan.
Because they just count the 6 rings.
Yes.
So that's like, why. So can I attribute it to being a Yankee fan?
Sure.
27 rings.
Yes.
How old were you in 1902, bruh?
Yep, exactly. And so I choose to be a realist and pay attention to what's happened in the past decade or so, the lack of playoff success. And right now, I just want something exciting. I love Ben Roethlisberger, but this is his swan song in Pittsburgh. And at that point, I mean, they got to start thinking about this now. Whether that means, you know, somehow making a move up into the top 4 if they pull something off with Atlanta, because it's very evident that Atlanta is perfectly fine with moving down if they get enough draft compensation for it. So if Pittsburgh calls them and says, you know, hey, we'll give you 24, we'll give you a 2, we'll give you next year, we'll just send a big old package over to Atlanta to try to trade up and get a guy like Trey Lance at 4, I will also forgive everything that's been on this offseason. So there's a lot of different things that they can do with the position going forward. I hope that they have a plan and we're not stuck in quarterback purgatory where we've got to rely on, you know, Mason Rudolph for a year again, or, you know, some lower end quarterback, because
Dwayne Haskins.
The fact that he's only on a 1-year deal, I don't think he's going to be back next year. I think this is just a rehabilitation stint for him where, all right, I think, I could be wrong, but I think him and Haskins, or him and Tomlin are, you know, tighter. I mean, they're both, you know, obviously the Washington connection because Tomlin's from Washington. So I think that, you know, this is just them doing him a solid, you know, getting back on his feet, give him some film to show in preseason especially, and then just try to help him rehabilitate his career. I don't think he's back next year, but Mason Rudolph might be, and
or Duck Hodges. I'm just kidding.
Duck Hodges is a Ram.
Oh, wow.
So I know it won't be him. Yeah. But
all right. Jared, do you want to switch gears real quick and we get into some
please.
of these?
Yes.
So let's talk about, you know, you see mock drafts on the bottom, but we're going to be talking about other people's mock drafts, right? You know, basically we're getting closer and closer. Every week you're going to see these mocks switch. Every week you're going to see different things pull up. So I thought it would be interesting to look at, you know, where some of these mocks are at right now. March 23rd was the last time that Mel Kiper has released a mock. And in that mock, he had Carolina moving up to 3 for Justin Fields, and we obviously know that that's not happening. So Todd McShay just released his on the 1st, right? So that's one of the more recent ones. This one's going to get everybody upset. So pick one. Fun. Pick 1, Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
Pick 2, Zach Wilson. Pick 3, McCorkle Jones.
Oh, good God.
So again, you know, we've talked about it. When anybody's speculating what's going on at 3, they're just speculating. Exactly. They don't know anything. There's only 3 people that know the pick. Adam Schefter doesn't know. Ian Rappaport yesterday said, I don't know. You know, for him to say, I love the hedging of the bets.
Yep.
Nobody knows outside of these 3, but Mac Jones is in the running. Well, duh. I don't need to be an NFL insider to know that. You know, like what sort of obvious statement is that? You know, like, so again, lends itself to nobody really knows. But no, man, no. No with this Mac Jones stuff. Enough with this crap. I'm just sick of the propaganda. Everything is all just about, hey, he's a fit. let Kyle Shanahan. You know, again, did we say this on the last one? You know, this is how you evaluate quarterbacks now as an expert.
Yeah.
This quarterback has this as a deficiency, but you know what? If Kyle Shanahan gets his hands on him, he's a scheme fit. He's an absolute scheme fit for Kyle Shanahan. Tried, trusted, wash, rinse, repeat, every single one. So just because Mac Jones comps to Kirk Cousins doesn't mean that that's the pick. And that's not what Kyle Shanahan wants. So again, is there a world where it happens? Yeah, but I doubt it. So, but let's just keep going. Number 4, Kyle Pitts to Atlanta. I do not understand that one at all. You know, when you have a chance.
Let me just say something about that, because everybody, I've seen other mocks, you know, obviously the one to Atlanta, and then for some reason Cowboys fans are convinced they're getting Kyle Pitts now.
How?
These are both teams that have severe needs on the other side of the ball. Mm-hmm. Both had horrible secondaries last year. Why in God's name would you, if you're Atlanta, I think they're going to look to move down. Obviously, McShay didn't do a trade in this. If they stay there, maybe they take Kyle Pitts. Regardless, it doesn't make sense, because you can look at the offense and say, man, who's going to slow them down? Their defense, when they allow 47 points a game. So, yeah, that'll be great. You'll have Julio. You'll have Calvin Ridley. You'll have Kyle Pitts. Who do you got on defense? Who's going to stop everybody? Atlanta had the worst passing defense in the NFL last year, and it showed. And they blew a lot of games, notoriously. They blew the one against Dallas, blew the one against Chicago, blew the one against Detroit. So this is a team, if you're in that front office, you can't look at this team and be like, man, we need a tight end. No, you need to go get somebody in the secondary where you can slow down the opposing offense. Yeah. And if you can't do that, then you're not going to score 40 points a game in the NFL. It doesn't matter who you have. I just don't understand why that would be a pick, especially for Atlanta with the worst defense in football, where you've got so much defensive talent at your disposal at number 4. Plus, Hayden Hurst is a solid tight end. I get he's not Kyle Pitts, but damn, you traded for him last year for a reason. There's no reason why Kyle Pitts would go to Atlanta at 4, and I just don't get that entire speculation right now. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. Kyle Pitts is a once-in-a-lifetime tight end prospect, but again, you got to draft on needs. And I, you know, for Atlanta to pass on Trey Lance, for Atlanta to pass on, you know, any sort of defensive upgrades. This mock gets a little bit worse as we keep going. So
let's just keep chopping along.
Yeah. All right, number 5, Jamar Chase. I really don't have a problem with that, but honestly, man, they should get an offensive lineman at 5. I really don't understand that at all.
That's another dumb one. Another dumb one, because that's great. Yeah, they were great in college together. Who's going to protect him to allow him to throw to Jamar Chase? So,
you know, you have a chance to get Penei Sewell. You have a chance to get Rashawn Slater. You know, we on Sprint Right Option, we had Guy Haberman on Wednesday. Yeah. And he said that how he knew he was sold on Penei Sewell was he was covering, you know, he covers the Pac-12. He said that he was watching them get ready and warm up. And he's like, man, who's that tight end that's moving out there like that? And he says as he gets closer, he realizes that it's Penei Sewell. And he said that he doesn't look like this huge man because he moves so gracefully. And he's just like, after that, I was sold. He goes, then you pop on the film, you see all the other stuff. So I think it's really funny that he brought that up because, like, again, Cincinnati needs help on the offensive line. You know, Joe Burrow got hurt last year because that man was running around trying to do stuff.
I was just about to say that. How can you look at what happened to Joe Burrow in Cincinnati last year and say they need a receiver? No, they need somebody to keep Joe Burrow upright. This man was a rookie and tore his ACL. This is supposed to be the future of your franchise. You got to keep him upright. If you can't do that, then it's a wasted pick to begin with. Yep. Again, it's not the sexy pick like Jamar Chase would be, but sometimes you got to build from the ball out. You can't build from the ball in. So get some protection for him. I mean, you took T. Higgins last year. He's still good. Tyler Boyd might be the most underrated receiver in football because he's quietly had 3 great years in a row. Yep. So, if you want to add another receiver, do it in the mid-rounds where there's still going to be great depth. You don't need a wide receiver 1 right now. You need somebody who can protect your depth quarterback, or else he's just gonna flounder because he can't be protected. So no, that makes no sense either.
So right after that, Devontae Smith to Miami. I actually think that one actually makes sense. I think that's where they go with their pick as well too. But I mean, if again on the board you have Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater, it's hard, man. It's hard to sit there and say that that you're gonna take Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle next to Detroit, Patrick Surtain to Carolina.
Well, now that they signed AJ Bouye, they might be able to be a little bit flexible with that.
Yeah, I again, this came out April 1st, so this is different part. And thanks for bringing up AJ Bouye being gone because it's not that I'm hurt about that. All right, and Trey Lance at 9. So do you notice that Justin Fields is still on the board? He hasn't gone yet.
I swear, man, this is where I get angry. This is where
Can we get a Jarrett rant real quick?
Yeah, all right. Look, I say this a lot. These guys have jobs to do, and for the most part, they do it pretty well. And I'm not going to sit here and crap on Todd McShay.
Todd McShay's a pillar of NFL media. He's one of those guys. So, again, respect the work. We can just respectfully disagree, though.
Yeah, exactly. Mac Jones is not the pick at 3. If Mac Jones is the pick at 3, I will come on this show. Somebody, you can tell me anything you want me to do. I will do it. That doesn't, ruin my career. I will do it.
I'm glad you put that last part in.
We'll pick the best one. If Mac Jones is the pick, I will do it. I don't care what it is.
You got to eat a cinnamon roll dipped in chili.
That's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
So, all right, 49ers Twitter had a little bit of a discussion about, in the Midwest, apparently instead of dinner rolls on the side, they have cinnamon rolls with their chili, and they dip it in the chili, and apparently they just,
This is why America's so freaking obese. Jesus. Anyway.
Don't knock until you try it, man. It's not like you douse it in it, you just dip it real quick. I've never tried it, I'm just saying.
I like cinnamon rolls. I like chili, but no, that makes no sense. Anyway, no, I don't think Justin Fields is making it past 3. I would be incredibly, incredibly shocked if Mac Jones is the pick at 3. Everybody, I mean, you talked about the Kirk Cousins comp. I see a lot of stuff saying, well, man, he could do everything that Jimmy Garoppolo can. If Kyle Shanahan wanted a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, don't you think he wouldn't have traded up to number 3 to replace Jimmy Garoppolo?
Mac said that.
Good.
And look, if Mac is a pick, you have to power chug the cheapest can of beer you can find. The cheapest. Ooh,
That's basically just water at that point, man. That's not.
What is it like? What is that, like a Keystone Light or something?
Yeah,
like what would be the
some local beer that I don't know. For Pittsburgh, it's IC Light. People live and die by IC Light in Pittsburgh, so that could be the one.
But to your point about Mac Jones being redundant with Jimmy Garoppolo,
yes,
as far as their skill set, and that's another thing. Again, so I've said this many times on my pod. If the 49ers were 4-12 and they were at 3 and they decided to pick Mac, okay, I don't like it. But I might understand it. But moving all that capital to move up to 3 to take Mac Jones would really piss me off. Honestly, that's it. It's more the compensation than anything. But let's keep going.
Can we talk about? Hold on, this one comment.
Good.
Shave your head if it's Mac. That's the wager I made.
Ooh, Raj, why? I'm 95% sure it's Justin Fields, and I still wouldn't make that bet.
I did say that in terms of the ones that we've got so far. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
That is
don't do that. Your hair's too good. You can't. The power's in your hair. It's like, is it like that Simpson and Delilah story? Like, don't do that.
It doesn't look great right now because I didn't really do anything to it this morning, but it's still flowing. It's still. Somebody said I need to go to the.
What about Jack Harlow and somebody else?
No, it was where the hell is it? Did I already pass it? Somebody said that I look like a combination of Lil Dicky and Sean Harlow.
Jack Harlow.
Yeah, I don't know why they said Sean Harlow, but yes, I will take. I assume that's what they meant was Jack Harlow.
Right.
I'll take the comp. Yeah. So look, in the draft. Yeah.
No, you're good. Denver, Trey Lance. I can. If that's the case, then Denver should jump all over that. That makes sense, right?
Yes. Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if Denver actually traded up with Atlanta to take a quarterback if Atlanta is looking to move down.
Right. J.C. Horn at 10 to Dallas. That would be a steal for them.
Perfect sense. I think he's the best corner in this draft.
Our guy Croc was on the LA Chargers stream, which big things going on with him, and he was talking about J.C. Horn being number 1, and he was talking about, listen, you can like Surtain, but he has J.C. Horn number 1. I actually really, 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 respect his thought process on cornerbacks. He's taught me a lot of things, so so I believe him when he says that. He's not saying it for clicks. It's kind of been a lot of other people are saying it as well too, but he articulates it in a way that is. That is really good. So 11, New England Patriots get Justin Fields, and they move up to 11 to get Justin Fields.
If Justin Fields ends up in New England, there's going to be an Armageddon in the NFL. If the NFL as a collective allows Bill Belichick to get Justin Fields, there is going to be hell to pay. That would be no.
But But I mean, I'll tell you this, man. Bill might kick that Super Bowl window right back open if if he ends up with Justin Fields.
And it wouldn't be right away. Give it, a year or two, then yeah, I think he would be, right back. I don't think that Justin Fields is leading them to the Super Bowl in his rookie year, especially going up against what the AFC has to offer. But yeah, give it a couple years, they'll be right back in that conversation. So if that does happen, I think that there's a very slim chance that does happen.
So 12, the pick that the Eagles moved into with Miami, Micah Parsons, and then Penei Sewell at 13 for the Chargers. Man, I think that would be...
That's a slide, man.
Yeah, man. If the Chargers got that, you're talking about adding that with, Herbert and all those guys, man. And
that's
then right
exactly
after
what they need right now is offensive line help. I mean, Pouncey just retired. They need help on the outside. So, yeah, that would be one of the steals of the first round if Sewell slides all the way to 13. I don't think he's gonna, but
Rashawn Slater at 14 for Minnesota. I mean, that's big for them.
You could go a few things with Minnesota. I mean, they need help outside as well. They need help on defense as well too. So, I mean, you could go a few different ways with Minnesota, but that would make sense.
Some other highlights real quick, so we could take some questions and everything as well too. So guys, if you want now, start sending in your questions. We'll start answering them now. So we'll just finish up this segment and then we'll get ready to wrap it up. So some other ones: Caleb Farley, 18, Arizona moves up. Trevin Moehrig at 17 for the Las Vegas Raiders. I loved his film. Shout out to Jordan. He put me on to him, and I think that he's really, really good at what he does. He kind of profiles like how Jimmy Ward is for the 49ers, where he's a safety, but he can play in the slot and he gives all that flexibility. Like, he looks great. He looks like a corner who's playing safety. Yeah. Kadarius Toney to the Bears at 20. So the Jets at 23 would take Travis Etienne, and then 24, Najee Harris to the Steelers. Would you be furious if the first round pick was a running back?
No, I've been like cheering for Travis Etienne to go in the first round of Pittsburgh. But the Jets take him, and then they end up with Najee Harris. See, I don't know how to feel about Najee Harris. I feel like we're overhyping him a little bit, but I could be wrong. I think he's fine. If they end up with him and he turns out to be great, then yeah, that'll be great. I would not mind at all if Harris or Etienne go in the first round of Pittsburgh.
Fun fact: Najee Harris recently told Todd McShay, "quote unquote," kiss my ass. Just wanted to point that out there real quick too. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but yeah, he definitely did say that. And Daniel Jeremiah has Mac Jones going to the 49ers at 3. Yeah, I mean, again, everybody pretty much at this point is just speculating when it comes to all of these things. So let's see if we got some good questions in here. Let's take a look. I'm not saying he's not. Okay, here we go. Al, thank you for the question. I'm not saying he is not, but can y'all make the argument why Lawrence is the clear number one prospect? Ever says he's number one, but with no explanation. I think, Al, it has to do with he's the golden boy. He's been, and the other thing is, too, is like when I hear people knock Zach, Lance, Fields, Mac, it's over experience. Now that's what Trevor Lawrence has, experience, right? And again, when you've been pegged as the guy, number one, the entire time, you got to kind of stick with that. So I think the experience is really what puts it up. And then, when you've been comped to Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, that stuff doesn't go away. Even if, Justin Fields, kicked his team's ass in the semifinals, and nobody ever wants to talk about that. But Trevor Lawrence, I think, is, look, if you're trying to be safe, he is the number one prospect. He is. That's just, and it's really easy. It's not hard to see that. But he has deficiencies just like everybody else. Right. The one read stuff, sometimes I see it with Trevor Lawrence. He has a tough time getting off of his one read, but nobody ever wants to bring that up. So I really think that if you're talking about what's the part that puts him over, it's probably experience at this point. So I think that's probably why in my eyes. But Jarrett, what do you think?
I agree on the longevity thing. He's done it for 3 years now. Came in as a true freshman and just tore up college football. He just does. There's a reason that he is the most highly touted prospect since Andrew Luck, because I think he's very similar to Andrew Luck. Mm-hmm. I think, you look at the arm strength, the accuracy, the ability to people don't give Trevor Lawrence enough credit in terms of extending the play and the plays he can make with his feet. So Leo, get out of here. Kellermond. Anyway.
Max got a funny question. Who does Seattle take in round 1? Nobody.
No one.
Do you guys think we trade back into the first round? If so, for who? The 49ers? No. There are 3 to make their pick there. So trade back into the first round. Oh, yes, actually. Okay, so I think I said this on Grant Cohn's show. either the 49ers move up into round 1 or maybe high round 2, but I think they take a running back in round 2. I know nobody wants to hear that, but Javonte Williams,
Michael
profiles
Carter.
Michael Carter. Javonte Williams profiles is Nick Chubb, man. And what this offense really needs is a guy who can tote that thing 15, 16 times, because we've seen Raheem Mostert not be able to take it. Jeff Wilson even has injuries. You're talking about Javonte Williams profiling as Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is one of the top 1, 2, 3 ball carriers in this league whenever he has the ball in his hands. Traditional running back. And Javonte Williams can catch the ball as well too. But I'm just thinking of when you've got Javonte touching the ball 15 times, you put Mostert 7, 8, 9, 10 times with the ball. But the problem is that he's the home run hitter now. So again, Kyle Shanahan sets you up, jab, jab, jab with Javonte Williams, and then finally, boom, hits you with Mostert, and he's like taking those 10-yard runs for 30 and 40 yards. I think it's something that the 49ers can do. And the other reason that the 49ers can do that is because they solidified everything in free agency, and it gave them that flexibility to move up. So, and for the people, I'm sure, I can't wait for it to come up in the comics. Oh, Kyle only wants, undrafted free agents. Nope, not true. He just hit on some undrafted free agents. That doesn't mean that that's his style. He drafted Joe Williams in the 4th, drafted Tevin Coleman in Atlanta, drafted, his father drafted Clinton Portis when he was in Washington. That's not, and they paid Jet McKinnon, they paid Tevin Coleman again. They invest in running backs. That's not how they are. Like, just because he hit on undrafted free agents doesn't mean his philosophy is to just go out there and get an undrafted free agent. So I think that's where the disconnect is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Leo's playing you out.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I did see that. Yes, I know a little bit about Nick Chubb, and yeah, it's a pain. Now, I will say this though. I don't want to go off on another tangent, but since Leo brought up Cleveland,
no, we were talking about getting a running back in the 2nd round. You know how people don't love that.
So I mean, Cleveland, in terms of Nick Chubb, obviously he turned out to be a freak. But man, if there's a team in the division that scares me, it's not Baltimore, it's Cleveland.
Cleveland should be, honestly. Zach wants to ask, do the Ravens take a quarterback in round 2, expecting this Greg Roman offense to fall apart? I think it's already fallen apart. And I don't think they take. Who would be the quarterback they would take at 2 though? I mean, in the 2nd round.
Look, I will say this about the Ravens offense. Obviously 2019 was phenomenal. He looked really good running against the Bengals in Washington, making all those fun little spin moves. Put him up against Kansas City, flop. Put him up against Pittsburgh, flop. Put him up against Buffalo, flop. You know why? He can't beat great teams. The way that they play, they cannot beat great teams. Look back last year's Monday night game. Look back again to the game against Pittsburgh. Look back in the playoff game against Buffalo. They can't beat great teams. They can beat good teams. They beat Tennessee. Tennessee's a good team. They aren't a great team. And even then, he had a duck of a throw that was intercepted in the 1st quarter outside the numbers, because he's not good at throwing outside the numbers.
Talking about the first Tennessee game. Yeah, that was a bad throw.
Correct. Now, their offensive line, they lost Marshall Yonda last year. Orlando Brown's gone, I believe, as well. So their offensive line isn't very good anymore. Mark Ingram's gone. They're going to have to rely more on J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. The receivers aren't outside of Marquise Brown, don't really have a lot there.
Devin Duvernay.
Defensively in the front 7, not very good anymore. Calais Campbell's 77 years old. He's really the only guy left over from there that's really a star. Secondary, yeah, I mean, Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey, they're good. Outside of those guys, Baltimore doesn't scare me at all.
Yeah, Orlando Brown's gone too.
So, exactly. So, I mean, their offensive line took a big hit again this year. Defensively, they're just... I feel like we want to look back at that 2019 year with Lamar Jackson, but I think really good defenses are starting to figure out how to do it. Kansas City laid the blueprint for how to do it. All right, make him throw outside. Make him beat us that way. And if somehow he does, you tip your cap, you move on. The likelihood of Baltimore beating you with Lamar Jackson's arm, slim to none right now. And that's why Cleveland scares me a lot more than Baltimore does, because Baltimore's a one-trick pony.
Yeah, and I mean, and so is Greg Roman, and it's sad that we've seen this happen. This is the 3rd time it's happened. Happened 3 times. Happened with Colin Kaepernick, happened with Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo, and now it's happening with Lamar Jackson. It's just, I don't understand this league sometimes, and the cycle of coaches as they continue to get chance after chance while they fail the same exact way. One year you're tearing up the league with your running offense. Once it gets stale and figured out, and then you struggle. You get fired, you go get another job, rinse and repeat, and you do it over and over. I don't understand it. I really don't. This league just continues to filter in the same coaches, and that's why, it's still so much of a boys club in this league that's still so annoying. Like, again, last year, Mike McCarthy takes a job in Dallas, and he says, you know what? Mike Nolan's my friend. He's the defensive coordinator. No, that's not how this works. Stop putting your friends on if they're crap at their jobs, and that's my problem. It's again the boys club. Hey, remember when we coached together? Cool. Now just be my defensive coordinator. Mike Nolan's terrible. And the defense was awful. But that's your fault because you want to hire your friends. And that's just that boys club mentality that really infuriates me when it comes to the NFL. It's like, man, do you want to win ball games or do you want to help your friends get jobs?
Exactly.
And it's like, come on, man. So, let's see. I think that's it. I mean, we can wrap here if you want. Oh, well, if Mon falls to them around 2, I don't think Mon's falling to round 2, honestly. People are saying too many good things about him. I don't know, man.
Goes round 1?
I don't know. People are going to overdraft him and people are going to move up for him, man. I think, honestly, this might be the year that you see 6 in the first round.
I feel like Davis Mills will probably go somewhere late first round if New Orleans is still there. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes there. I think Davis Mills is really climbing boards right now.
I think
he's just so.
You and I know you don't got to explain to me about Kellen Mond. I'm not saying that it's the right move. Trust me,
everybody keeps showing that clip of that throw that he made at his pro.
But he's like this.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he looks so stiff.
Yeah, dude, he looks like a robot. Like, and he gets to his spot and he just like lets it go. And I'm like, that's an impressive throw. But goodness, man, loosen up a little, And but look, I'm not saying that I have. I think that once Chris Sims put that out there about Kellen Mond, everybody started to get like, Leo said he's going to go on a rant.
I see this. Yeah. Well, it's because we said something about Davis Mills. Now, no, I'm not saying I've been very much on record. I love the first 4 in this draft. The rest of them, they're going to be quarterbacks in the XFL in 2 years. I don't think anything of them. So
this is good. You want to take this one and then we can get out of here? So how you feel about this? This is a good one. What do you think? Is this a situation where, old men are yelling at a cloud, or is this like showing progress, or what do you think?
I just feel it's such a minor thing that why is it taking this long for us to do it? And now they used to have this in like the 50s and 60s where nobody gave a damn what number you wore. And then for some reason we changed it. Now I'm fine with quarterbacks only being allowed to wear 1 through 19 because Devin Gardner wearing 98, I get it was for a good cause, was a monstrosity. Never again. Shea Patterson wearing 20, ew. No, never again. So yeah, I like the fact that we can get, skill position guys in single digits. I love that. I think it'll be a lot of fun. We're gonna see a lot of guys switch back to what they wore in college, so that'll be fun to see. I know Zach just said something about where the throwbacks. I miss throwbacks so much. This stupid ass 1 helmet rule. Hate that a lot. I want to see throwbacks. You know what I want to see actually? I want to see. I get that Tennessee used to be the Oilers. Just give the rights back to Houston and just change their name to the Oilers and give them their old gear because the Texans have the ugliest logo, ugliest uniforms in football, and I hate it. It's so generic. Really, you're from Houston, so you're going to call yourselves the Texans? Jesus.
So, I mean, here's the thing, though. So, the throwbacks, right? So, let them wear the powder blue Oilers jerseys here and there. Let them, let the Chargers go back to those, their powder, well, the powder blue unis they have now, but I love the old school ones, like the Kellen Winslow. Let the 49ers have their red throwbacks. Just don't let the Steelers wear that stripe one, like again, like that.
I'm on my own where I said I like the Bumblebees. I like the Bumblebees a hell of a lot more than I liked those brown ones with the yellow helmets that they wore in 07. Hated those. Those things were ugly. Now the Bumblebees I can get behind. I didn't mind the Bumblebees.
Well, I mean, no fun league more than anything. I just like the change up, of the throwbacks, and it's like you have to apply at the beginning of the year. It's like the NFL wants to make you jump through hoops at everything. Exactly. It's like, man, let the people have fun, man.
There was another one. I had it.
The Creamsicle Bucks? Yes.
Creamsicle. Oh, man. The Bucks should just make the Creamsicles their official uniforms now. I miss those things. I think Denver should go back to their little orange crushes as well. Those were nice. I want to see. You remember when the Eagles wore those like lime yellow and lime blue ones in like 06? Those throwbacks.
Oh yeah.
Those ugly monstrosities of jerseys.
So the Giants should be doing the Giants logo that says Giants with the line under it.
They should have never changed that, man.
I don't understand that. NY is so
clean.
Horrible. Yes, that NY logo is horrible. And the Saints should get their color rush white jerseys, man, and just run with those for a few games, man, because those are so clean, man. Oh my goodness.
I liked the idea where the Bengals would wear their all whites and have a white helmet. They'd be like the white Bengals. I feel like that would look clean. Mm-hmm. I want to see a lot of the NBA has been so much fun because we get a lot of new jerseys every year. Exactly.
And throwbacks.
We get some throwbacks. The NBA has been so progressive because they know, all right, people like this new stuff. People like seeing some oldies and some whenever we get Grizzlies versus Jazz both wearing throwbacks, sweet God alive. It's beautiful. I think we need to see more NFL like that. You know, like the old school Dolphins, like James just said. If we get some of that, speaking of, I got trolled on Twitter because I thought that somebody created a fake account and tweeted out that the Dolphins were going back to their old their old. I was like, yes, and then I realized it was a fake.
You got.
I got. Yep. So no, I miss throwbacks a lot. I'm trying to think of other really good throwbacks. I remember the Falcons wore the ones from like the late '80s where they had the red helmet and the old Falcon on it.
That one's dope. Deion wore that. Nice. Deion wore those for a little bit too. Yeah. The old school Rams jerseys are dope. Because the new ones are just.
Oh my goodness, those. How can you mess that up so much?
Yeah, it's tough.
It's very tough. Jags should always wear teal. They are wearing teal. The Jaguars have made their teal uniforms their official.
The newest one. Yep.
So, yep.
So 55 minutes. I think this was good, Jarrett. This was good. Yeah. So real quick before we get out of here, go subscribe. Two Skinny Dudes on YouTube. Make sure you like, share, comment on this. Help us get the word out as well too. So every Saturday at noon, Two Skinny Dudes and Jarrett. Make sure you follow Jarrett Bailey. Jarrett Bailey, Jay Bailey, NFL. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. That'll help us out a lot. We're going to start, the lives will be up there, but we're going to start chopping up the segments and things like that. So, for anybody who misses, they can actually catch up on whatever topic they want to catch up and not listen to me rant about how I hate the pick of Mac Jones at 3, So I love doing these shows with you, Jarrett, because it allows me a bit of an escape from the 49ers, but somehow I still, not that I need an escape, but when you go a whole week going on people's shows and talking, you're kind of saying the same things over and over. So I like this idea of being able to talk about other teams because I love the NFL so much. I love the 49ers too, but Saturday should be my day to not talk about the 49ers. So we're going to try to make this as little 49, unless something big happens, as little bit of 49er stuff as we can. So.
No, man, I appreciate doing this with you too. It's a lot of fun to be able to talk football with a guy who I very much enjoy talking with. So, being able to do this every Saturday and, obviously scroll through the comments and whatnot, everybody talking to us, it's a lot of fun. I'm glad that we get to do it. So yeah, like he said, you can follow Jason at JasonAponte2103. Follow me at JBaileyNFL. A lot of stuff coming from me as well. You'll see it on Twitter, the Ben St. Juice interview yesterday. You can go back and watch the Afatu Melifonwu interview. That's on the Laces Out podcast YouTube
That's
channel.
Big.
So, and then we'll get Kay Johnson, the receiver from South Dakota State, on Monday. So a lot of prospect talk leading up to draft time. So
let's go. Look at you, man. So hold up. Let me talk about my week. So
yeah, go for it.
Monday, on Sprint Right Option, we had starting safety for the 49ers, Jaquiski Tartt. That was Jaquiski Tartt. That was a throw. We had Guy Haberman on Wednesday from Haberman and Middlecoff. That's, friend of the pod. He's the man. And we finished last night with Al Sacco from 49er Web Zone. So yeah, man, we, you working, we working, this is a lot of fun. So, probably check you guys next week. Just make sure you sub to the channel and everything as well, guys.
Yep, very much so. Before we go, Zach just said, can't wait to see your reaction. The Steelers take a quarterback. If they take a quarterback that is not Trey Lance or Justin Fields, because those are going to be the only ones that they have a real chance of getting. If they end up taking like Kyle Trask or Kellen Mond, I will proudly walk into the sea. So
No, don't do that.
So we appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, again, we're going to try to chop up some of this. You can catch it on the Two Skinny Dudes YouTube page, different segments that we've done. Appreciate y'all as always. Jason, my friend, I appreciate you.
I always appreciate you, Jarrett. And thank you for everybody tuning in. And we'll see you next week.